I don't know why that won't do that. Okay, here we go. Awesome, awesome. I don't see Warren
3 minutes until showtime.
Yeah. Where's Warren? Huh. I'm gonna have to Warren should have checked in by then. It's just me. Oh, there he is. Let me bring you on. Add you to the stream. Hello, sir. How are we?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Man, it is gorgeous, and the neighborhood is beautiful. It's not too hot. It's not too, cold. It's just beautiful, mellow day. Today,
Yeah, we have a nice day today.
I'm not jealous of where you are today, so it's all good.
2 minutes until
Well, we're going
showtime.
down for a pool party at 2 o'clock. So.
Always trying to outdo me. You are always trying to outdo me, but it's all good. I do have great news. You and I got the thumbs up for October, so we're good to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're
And it's going to be that Saturday?
yes. So we're gonna
Beautiful.
talk about that pop up, and I'm excited about doing it down at the beach and doing it up here in DC. So I'm excited about this conversation with hamburger meat. The people want to talk about it. So
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna talk about it in a few minutes. We are live. We're getting ready for IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. I'm Victorianne Russell Walton, and as always, I got my man Warren Green with me. Thanks, Miss Garla. So we appreciate it. Now, look, let me put the clauses in here. I have a house full of kids, children. So you're going to hear some commercials. And when you hear those commercials, just like your house, it'll drift off and and we'll get back to the show. But it's a beautiful day. The kids are all over here and I love it. So here we go. So we have 1 minute to showtime. I'm going to crack my knuckles. I'm going to get my notes together. I see the questions and we are waiting on Facebook to get started. So let's go, Facebook. Where you at? Where you at? Yeah, Facebook should be live. I wonder why they're not live yet. Okay. It says live in a few minutes. So should start soon. All right. So Warren, we've got 45 seconds. And we're getting questions already, Warren. I love the questions. So let's talk about hamburger meat. And let's talk about what it does.
Live in 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
4, 3.
Here we go.
Okay.
2, 1. Love Talk Radio.
Thank you, J Beats. All right, everybody, the intro's coming in. And today we are going to have an awesome discussion about food. And I know it's a topic that we don't want to talk about, but it's one that we have to discuss. And what I mean by have to discuss, Warren and I, we were going to talk about dating, but I feel that we can talk about dating at another time. When it comes to health disparities, that's where I dwell. So I'm trying to get the lighting right because one I'm bright and one I'm not. So I'm going to just leave it right here. And we are again excited I got my handsome nephew here, Cameron, in a house full of yes, Father God. So I'm going to turn this one down. There we go. We got some feedback. So today, IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. We are discussing hamburger meat. And I'm actually going to get the youth opinion about this as well. But Warren and I talked about this. Today was supposed to be our discussion about dating. But with the recent holidays coming up, July 4th, you need to hear about what is in your hamburger meat. I know you don't want to hear about it, but you need to hear about what's in your hamburger meat. And I am turning one of these up to make sure everybody can hear us okay, because it's a topic that I know we don't want to talk about, but Warren's going to break it to you raw, and he is going to discuss it with us in detail. So this is IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. I'm your host, Victorianne Russell Walton. I've got my man on the line, Warren Green. Say hello to the people, Warren.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
So we're going to delve right into it, but as I always promise, three things. So I want us to be mindful. I will show this every time until this changes. Cure and the CDC, cancer sees color. They want African Americans. They want you. They are charging at you. They're running behind you. This is still a fight in our community, and it's a fight that we all need to take on. So I expect everybody to do their part. Cancer wants you. So get healthy, stop smoking, stop drinking, and let your family know, that there's other cures other than chemo. Chemo may save your life, but you can do some holistic things to make sure that you're whole and healthy. That's one. Second announcement, the African American Veggie Diet Book. Why African American? Because we cook differently. We use different seasonings and herbs. So it's not to exclude anyone. It's just that if you want that soul taste, but you want to start a vegan lifestyle, this will assist you with that. We send these out all the time. Last but not least, our favorite, the Mediterranean diet, but we don't call it diet, we call it lifestyle. This is at Five Below. You can go in there and you can also Google the recipes. It will change your life. Okay, so this is something else that you can do, and this is something else that you can introduce to your family. Okay, so those are my three public service announcements. Along with in October in Virginia Beach, we will have our pop-up pinky party. Warren and I are planning. We're very excited about the health events. We're also having a pop-up pinky party in October in the Washington, D.C. area. And I got a call about Atlanta, Georgia today. So we will see what Atlanta has in store for us, because Atlanta has not slowed down during the pandemic at all. They're going full speed ahead. So those are our public service announcements. And with those, in the words of the church, we're done. We can all say amen, amen, and amen one more time. So Warren, what have you been up to? Are you ready for this conversation?
Oh yeah, I've always this has been in my mind for since the late '90s.
Wow.
When I was a USDA inspector, and it really bothered me, and the way it was administered and how this became a problem. And when you mentioned something about the breaker with breast cancer and everything else, it kind of all connected the dots.
Yeah.
In 1993, the Food and Drug Administration allowed a hormone, a synthetic hormone called recombinant bovine growth hormone, or RBGH. And what it was supposed to do was to increase the milk output for dairy cows,
Mm-hmm.
which is okay. It's growth hormone is naturally occurring. They learned how to synthesize this thing. So then they started using that on dairy cows and increased the output and increased production. But they did find that it was a problem with breast cancer, and it was particularly aggressive with African American women. They're still looking. So that's not, I can't say that definitively, but they've been looking for 20 years and the breast cancer rates are going up.
Yeah.
So now, none of the countries, the European market, nor Canada, and a lot of the European and Asiatic countries don't allow these dairy cows after they stop lactating. They're no longer, and they go to slaughter. Usually, prior to 1993, they could sell this dairy cow meat all over the world for hamburgers.
Wow. Okay.
In 1993, when this came out, it stopped. And none of these countries will allow dairy milk, dairy cows into their food chain. So that became the inexpensive hamburgers that we get from McDonald's and Burger King. Because you have to wonder, how can they sell a hamburger for $1? When you think about it, why should it be so cheap? Well, it come to find out, the United States was the only market for this meat.
Really? Isn't that okay? So that is a discussion. So
Okay, so here's where we are.
yeah. So
Now,
how is it that we are, as the United States, we're the only ones that's still doing it? It's not out. Like California will put on the back of their food stickers that say may cause cancer, which is everything. May cause cancer. You see it at the McDonald's. You see it, with the fast foods. But in the United States, it's not mandatory to let you know what causes harm and what doesn't
well,
cause harm.
like I said, with chickens and arsenic and so forth and so on, it's not required. That's a labeling requirement that I think that they're to do. But they found out that, in fact, if you labeled it that way, people wouldn't buy it, and that's what takes precedence.
Wow. Okay.
So now we have hamburger. Hamburger in itself, when you think about hamburger,
Mm-hmm.
it's all kind of, it's not one like ground beef is one animal that they grind. If you go to the supermarket and say, grind this piece of meat for me, well, that's good.
Right.
Hamburger meat, of course, is the trimmings and stuff from all of the stuff that's been trimmed. It's all ground together, and so you have all of these surfaces being folded into the product. So it's a lot of surfaces. So of course, there's a lot of contamination.
Mm-hmm.
They can never clean off all of the fecal material and everything else that's involved with hamburgers. So you're expected to cook it well done.
Right.
I don't know whether everybody remembers when there used to be a time when you could go to a fast food restaurant and ask for a hamburger that was, well, medium rare,
Yeah.
and you could get it. That's illegal. Now it has to be well done.
Right.
So
Right.
now they're saying, that's the government saying that you have to, it has so much bacteria that it has to reach this particular temperature.
And see, and that's it. Okay. So we already know what we're eating now is not our grandparents' food. Like you can't. What blew my mind is when I drove past Laurel one time. There's lots of farms out there, and there's lots of government farms, and I watched these men in hazmat suits pick corn. And I kept thinking, why are they in hazmat suits? I remember picking corn as a child. Sometimes I was out there with no shoes on, just picking the corn. I never saw my mom, grandmom, dad put on a suit, hazmat suit, plastic gloves. I never saw the covering that they needed now just to pick fruit, but it dawned on me it's because of everything we're spraying on it and everything that's in it, right?
Primarily glyphosate, which is Roundup. Primarily, that's the pesticide that causes a great deal of problems. It causes cancer. It causes everything. That's manufactured by who was it? Bayer,
Yeah.
Monsanto.
That's amazing to me because we know what we're putting on the food is wrong. We know what we're putting in the food is wrong, but we're still not eating healthier and we're still not doing anything about it.
In 2008, the residual levels for glyphosate was increased. I'm not going to talk about the administration, but they actually increased the levels
Really? Why?
to make more money.
So they increase the levels to thin
The
out the
residual
food
levels,
or
when you sample the soil and stuff from the glyphosate, they
uh,
actually increased the levels.
wow.
And I think it was probably around the time when Monsanto was getting ready to sell their interest to Bayer. That's
Well,
right around that time. And that administration, well, and that's an administration that we trust. That was the Obama administration. And prior to that, with the RBGH, that was the Clinton administration.
but Warren, it's amazing to me because so I see everybody's questions. Naturally, Mom just joined, Tammy and Charles and everyone. Thank you for tuning in on all social medias. We're talking about hamburger meat today. I'm Victorianne Russell Walton. This is IITG Seasoned Sisters Speaks, and this is Wrong Way. This is Warren Green, who, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Knows all, been there and explaining the T-shirt to us. So is it your opinion now they're stretching the food because we are running out of food and this is their way of stretching it and getting the animals to produce more, therefore pumping more chemicals in them?
Well, that was always the case, but that's not right now. We don't even do the manufacturing of food anyway. So most of our food is imported.
Yeah.
Most of the food is imported. So we are not involved in that in the system at all. I mean, it's interesting how the African American farmer was actually removed from the national food chain. I
Wow.
don't know what and I don't know what that implies. Of course, I have some ideas that I won't talk about, but we actually removed from the food chain. Now,
Wow.
I did read something about this came out from Lancet, which is a weekly peer-reviewed general medical journal. So they publish studies and clinical trials,
Hmm.
and it says poor diet may be a risk factor for death.
Wow. Well, we know that, but there's so many food deserts in the brown and black community. It's getting better, but we have a long way to go. So if
Well,
you
it actually says that if you ask people about the one human behavior that causes the most death,
yeah.
chances are many may say smoking, but
Mhm.
in fact, they say food choices are more of a health risk than smoking.
I believe it because everything that's in our food now, I mean, come on, there's arsenic in the baby milk. What is arsenic doing in the baby milk? So this food is definitely causing our body more harm than it is good. I mean, the youngest in Maryland to have breast cancer is 12 years old.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
So
it's food,
it's
and
definitely
so
it's
if you
food and genetics. And when you put those two together, you're creating a bomb.
well, yeah, and I like to look at other cultures to see whether this is because, well, last week I did a workshop and we looked at the China study, which showed other cultures and how they manage their food. And that's how they do the epidemiology of food. They look at
Right.
places like Africa or sub-Saharan Africa. Well, there they do a lot of subsistence farming. They grow for themselves and they grow for their neighbors. They have less disease than we have here, even though that's rural, and even though they don't even have the medicine that we might have.
Wow. You know, the amazing part to that is to hear other countries ban things that is so openly available here, knowing that is bad for you and it's deadly to if you consume too much. It's amazing that more regulations have not been put in place to protect the people.
Oh yeah, there's in our society where it's a economic based society, capitalism. It's part of our constitution that they can sell. You have the option of not purchasing.
Yeah.
So we don't have the kind of uh, uh, society where we can say, well, you can't sell this here because they still sell tobacco, and
Right.
they've known tobacco was carcinogenic for years, but they make so much revenue from the taxes from tobacco they never stop.
Wow. And you know, now we have vaping. And vaping is just as bad as smoking a regular cigarette. So hold on a second, Warren. Come here, Cameron. I want to ask my nephew Cameron. Come on, come and sit on the couch with me for a second, Cameron. This is my nephew Cameron. And what I asked earlier was um hamburger meat. So Cameron, how safe do you think the food is that you eat every day? How do you feel about hamburger meat?
I mean, it's okay. Like compared to other
Talk up.
stuff,
Speak.
tacos.
No, speak up.
Oh,
No.
I
So
don't.
do you think the food that you're eating is safe?
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Yeah, cause still got like, say the cow eats what a whole bunch of random stuff a day and not the normal stuff,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be put into the hamburger.
Right. Because what they eat, you eat.
Yeah.
So you don't feel your food is safe, you know? So how do you feel about starting a vegan lifestyle with no meat?
I don't know.
See, it's hard to give up meat, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that you would be apt to change it if you found out all this stuff was inside the food? Would you still eat it?
Mm.
Yeah. See, Warren is Cameron was brought up on fruits, vegetables, a balanced diet. Mom and dad doing a great job with teaching that in G Mommy. But for all of these young children that were just brought up on sodas and juice and cereal and hot pockets and this and that, they don't understand the balance of really what goes in their food. So, you know, and they don't understand it can stunt their growth, right, Warren? All
Well,
of those things
sure,
come into
but
play.
the way to handle that is that they children probably should never even consume animal tissue at all. Period. They should never start with animal tissue, and there's no reason to give them animal tissue.
On it, then
It
I
wouldn't
guess
bother you.
yeah.
So Cameron is saying it would be easier if he never had meat to stop,
Sure,
but because
sure.
he's had it, he wants it, right?
It's no reason, it's no reason for anybody to eat animal tissue.
Yeah. But
I
you
mean,
know,
really.
July 4th is coming and
Oh yeah, well,
the ribs will be
that's
on the
locked
grill.
into the whole society. Everybody's gonna consume it, and you can say that it's gonna knock off years of your life, and it will, but you're gonna eat it anyway because you're gonna think it's worth it.
You're like your dad.
Things like ice cream.
I,
Ice cream can't be healthy,
Yeah. Ice
but you're
cream
gonna,
can be healthy.
huh?
You can switch it up. It can be healthy, but you
It
know,
can't be healthy.
yeah. But the
It's
ice
it's
cream
it's
that has the
it's
27 letter
it's
words,
dairy.
yeah.
It's dairy. How could it be healthy?
Well, I'm okay. So I'm thinking sherbet. I'm thinking Italian ice.
Oh, that's not ice. Yeah,
Right. Well, when I think
that's
ice,
not from an
that's what
animal.
I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Sherbet is good.
Sherbet is good. All right. Thanks, Cam.
When are we gonna make that cotton candy?
Yeah. Here we go with their stomachs are always empty. Even though they ate lunch here, their stomach's empty now, Warren. So, so thank you for your opinion, Cameron. It's always good to speak with the youth to see what they're thinking and to think with others. Like I spoke with people before I did the show this week just to get their opinion, Warren. And I don't know, read it. I don't know. I'm not for sure. Empty stomach. I'm not for sure if they like. One lady said she knows that her eating habit is horrible, but she's not willing to change. And when I asked her why not, she said she's not willing to change because it's what she knows, it's what she likes, and if that's gonna kill her, then that's gonna kill her.
Well, it's all marketing.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I was when I was first diagnosed with my cancer
Mhm.
in in 2005, the doctor said, "Well, we are going to, this will castrate you."
Yeah.
And okay, and I'm saying, well, why should I want to live being
Yeah.
castrated?
Yeah.
But when you think about it, and everything is an adjustment. I suggest that after 30 days, if you don't eat meat for 30 days, if you go 4 weeks without eating meat, you might not need to eat meat any
Mhm.
longer.
Yeah.
And now they have alternatives. They have plant-based meat and everything else that is probably good enough to relieve your craving. What happened is your mind tells you that this is where you have to get your nutrients, and
Yeah.
that's and it tells your body, well, you should start craving things like bacon and steak and everything else. When
Yeah. The mind is a powerful tool because you don't want it until you're told not to eat it or you can't have it. Then you want it.
well, it acts on the mind and the immune system acts. They need the nutrients to make you function. So they will go to where you got the nutrient, where what food you got iodine from, for
Yeah.
instance. That would be from a potato. So it'll say maybe if you eat this potato chip, I can get my necessary essential nutrient.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of nutrients, what is your opinion about replacement meat like tofu and plant-based?
I love the plant-based things, and I'm noticing now that most of the major manufacturers are into that market, which tells me that speaks volumes to me.
Mhm.
They are saying that if they're investing in it, then we know what's happening,
Right.
and that's what's it. They're making, and not so much in this country because this Western diet is atrocious and it's all marketing, and so they're going to always direct you. For instance, and we pay for dairy. I mean that our tax dollars subsidize that market, so
Right.
that's always going to happen. That's part of our federal identity. But places like China, they're big in plant based stuff. Singapore, all the countries are really doing big things in alternative meats.
Hmm.
They're doing plant based. They're actually doing lab grown animal tissue. I like that idea because now you know that it's not going to be contaminated with all the other things that something that's raised on a farm. It's
Hmm.
raised in a lab, but it's just the animal tissue. They get it, some of the tissue and culture it.
Oh,
Well, you can keep that going forever.
yeah. Yeah. I, you know, I'm okay with plant-based. Tofu took me a second to get used to, but I we visited this guy who has a vegan truck, food truck, and he prepared the tofu as if it was fried chicken. It wasn't really fried, and of course it wasn't really chicken, but he really fooled me and it was really, really good.
Well, soy is see the soy. chemically, soy looks like estrogen. So that's questionable in itself
Yeah.
because soy looks like estrogen. In
Mhm.
fact, they even prescribe it for people who have hot flashes and stuff. You might want to increase your soy to mitigate the hot flashes. So
But you
soy is
shouldn't
another
consume soy?
soy itself.
Yeah.
The chemical of the chemical identity of soy looks very much like estrogen.
Wow. You know, Warren, it sometimes talking, it doesn't matter, how healthy you try to be. It's like you think you have a plan and you don't, and it always seems like there's a downside to it. And I tell people all the time, don't give up. I'm reading your questions. One person said, well, what do you eat? It seems like we can't eat anything. Broccoli has a recall, cheese has a recall. Oh, yes. So there's a wing restaurant that has completely run out of wings, and they're now using thighs because they can't get any wings.
I
So
never, I was never a big advocate for parts and chicken parts. It's just maybe I'm old school, but when I was an inspector, we used to inform the public to buy the whole bird and cut it up yourself.
wow.
I never I was never comfortable in food from multiple sources.
Hmm.
I don't like the idea of going and buying a package of pre-made salads. I mean, how many hands have touched this and it's not going to be washed, really? I mean, you can't wash off bacteria. So how many people have handled this? It's highly processed. The
90
same thing
seconds.
with the same thing with chicken wings. It's just you haven't even seen the whole bird. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
I think you have to look at the bird to see if it's healthy, and
Wow.
that's how you would want to manage that myself. But now, not to say to be politically correct, I do eat parts. But I mean, that's almost all you can buy now.
Right.
To buy a whole chicken is a rarity. Some places don't even sell them.
Seconds.
Well, that is our talk blog, IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak with Victorian Russell Walton, aka Maryland's Big Diva, along with Warren Green. We're talking about hamburger meat. What is it? How is it? How do you digest it? We want to thank everyone for tuning in on all social media platforms and for sharing it later on. This is a discussion that you need to have with your family because you need to know what you're putting in your body. And we haven't even jumped to the questions, Warren. So we did the commercials in the beginning, so we can start jumping into these questions. They're going to get to you, Warren. So so some of the questions. So I'll just start with the first ones that I received. So Warren, Mr. Warren, I was
10
told the
seconds.
wings have. That's where they give them the estrogen shots. So should we eat the chicken wings anyway? What do you think, Warren?
They give what shot?
They said they give them their shots. The chicken wings receive their shots. I guess they're trying to say that's where the chemicals go in the wings
No,
of
they
the
don't
bird.
do they don't do a whole lot of they most of the chemicals that they give the chickens is in the feed.
Okay.
I mean, a chicken goes from the egg to a fryer in like 6 weeks. They don't waste a lot of money. They don't waste a lot of time and money on a chicken. In fact, if the chicken can't break out of the shell, they just go dispose of it. But a
Yeah.
chicken it takes no time to grow. In 6 weeks, it goes from a chicken from a egg to ready to eat in 6 weeks. So
Wow.
they don't spend a lot of time.
I didn't know that. So, Mr. Warren, you stated that hamburger meat is mostly processed of all meats. Can you
Yeah.
clarify? And is it better to eat turkey meat?
Tur- well, turkey meat is fine. Ground turkey is higher in cholesterol than hamburger meat
Oh, wow. I didn't
because
know.
the cholesterol is in the skin. So turkey meat, I don't think you can get turkey meat anywhere.
Okay.
They don't sell turkey meat. They sell ground turkey,
Hmm.
but they don't sell turkey meat. And
Yeah.
if you look when you go to the supermarket, look on the back of the turkey meat package and look at the nutrition facts and look at the cholesterol in it, and you'll see that it's going to be higher than the pork.
Okay. So this is a good question. How long should you keep hamburger meat?
How long can you keep it?
I guess
Well,
in the refrigerator.
if you're going to freeze it, you can keep it indefinitely. I'm not too sure about how long if you freeze it, you can keep it and properly package it. You could probably keep it for years.
Okay. This is a good question. How long does hamburger meat stay in your body?
Everything stays in your body if for maybe 72 hours. So like I said before, I think it was last week. So you have decomposing flesh in your body for
All right.
72 hours,
Yeah.
which is why I always suggest fiber so that you can move this thing through a little quicker.
Add fiber. So, oh, these are some good questions. So, Warren, skin on when cooking or skin off?
Do I don't eat the skin.
Yeah.
So to me, it's okay to cook it with the skin off. I take it off anyway. If you're talking about chicken,
Yes. Very good.
I don't eat the skin. So and I wouldn't eat the skin if you're concerned about your hypertension, and you should be.
Okay, so Warren basically says no to the skin.
Well, but you can cook it with it,
You can cook.
and I would suggest you do that.
Okay. What's the best way to cook a hamburger? Is my air fryer okay or the oven?
Well, it's not. It's the ingredient that in the hamburger. I mean, just understand that you're getting medications and hamburger it comes from all sources. Even the fat doesn't have to come from the original cow.
Right.
I would suggest that if you're going to eat hamburgers, you go to your butcher shop and you buy a piece of meat and have them grind it for you.
Oh,
In fact,
okay.
the last time I visited some of my old crew in the food safety inspection service down in Beltsville, that's what they did. We grind our own meat. Of course they do, but that's not. A lot of people probably can't afford it. They'll go to the supermarket. They'll grab something. Well, imagine what you're buying, and then prepare it accordingly.
Okay. That's good. You guys are coming up with some great questions. And Warren and I appreciate the questions. Now, remember, what Warren and I are telling you, you take into moderation and apply it to your life, however it applies to your life. You take what we're telling you, and if it fits your lifestyle, then add it to your lifestyle. Be mindful of your allergies. Be mindful of your limitations on your body. You know what you can consume. We're just telling you our advice, and we're giving you, hi, husband, and we're giving you what we know is to be the logic and what we use in our everyday lives. But Warren is an expert, and I am a chronic disease educator, so we do know a little bit, okay? And I always try to surround myself with those that know a lot more than I know. And that is definitely Warren Green. So, this one is, should you wash off your hamburger meat before cooking?
Well, it doesn't. You can't. Here's the USDA regulations. If somebody's manufacturing hamburger and it drops on the floor, they have to throw it away.
Okay.
So you can't. So they're saying that you cannot wash off, but you can't wash off bacteria anyway. The problem with hamburger is the bacteria is all through the meat because it's ground into the meat. So it's on all the surfaces. So you gotta really cook it well done to be able to kill all the pathogens. And it's something. It can't. It's hamburger and Oprah got in trouble. They actually
I remember that.
They're a powerful lobbyist.
Yes.
And she actually was sued. They sued a billionaire and
Yes.
dragged her through court for saying that hamburger is bad.
It's
I'll
bad.
say it as an ex-inspector. Of course it's bad. And it's going to shorten your life.
Wow.
Period.
Yes, I remember that. Poor Oprah. They took her through the
I mean,
ringer.
that's how
People
powerful.
listened.
They turned around the beef industry, turned around the Pope.
Yeah.
Because remember when people ate fish on Friday, that was because of religious concerns.
Correct.
How did they change that whole way of thinking? It's amazing how they could have lobbied in order to get that to happen. That's
Yeah.
stunning.
It is. It is amazing, but
But
the
that's
power,
influence.
the power of the dollar will definitely move mountains if they want that mountain to be gone. It definitely will. So Warren, you mentioned making sure that you cook your hamburger meat because you cannot wash off bacteria. So this says, how long do you cook it to kill the bacteria? And that's a tricky question because some of you guys can't cook. So, I know some females. I have my moments. So, what's
Well,
wrong with this is the crazy part. What's wrong with a rare steak? Is rare?
Well, a steak and hamburger are different because you're only dealing with a steak, you're dealing with two surfaces.
Right.
With a hamburger, you're dealing with multiple surfaces. Okay. So you need to get with hamburger, you're gonna have to get to at least 160 degrees.
Okay.
Period. A good way to look at it is when the juices run clear. If you stick a fork in it or not, and the juices run clear, it's cooked enough. If it's still blood in there, you don't want to. You need to cook it further.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
The juices run clear, and you can use that for all meats. If the juices run clear, then it's cooked.
Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Should I allow my child to help me cook when I'm making hamburgers? Now, I'd say yes as long as they put gloves on and you keep the surface clean. But if they're young, like David, I would not.
Well,
David put cupcakes,
consider
but
think about this. Before I retired, I wrote the safe handling instructions that are on your hamburger meat package. I wrote those.
Mhm.
And if you read that, to me, where they want you to actually sanitize the surfaces after you prepare it and everything else,
Mhm.
I asked myself at that time, do you really want to put that in your body?
Yeah.
And that's the question.
Mhm. Yeah.
So just read the safe handling instructions on the back of the package and notice how your hands, everything you touch
Yeah.
could be contaminated.
So Warren, we have people calling me trying to get their questions in. Please don't call me. I am not going to answer my cell phone. None of the phones will be answered. You can type your question in and I will see it. I see all the questions, but I'm not picking the phone up to ask Warren any questions. Warren, they keep trying to get to you because they know me, but I'm not answering the phone. That's why we have a talk blog. That's why we have a talk show, IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. Send me
If
your
they got
questions.
a question and it's really that, they can reach me on Facebook. I'll answer it from there.
I was going to say Warren will tell you how to reach out to him. Warren, let them know how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, Facebook is a good medium. It's a good platform. That's the only one I use.
Yeah. So you can always find one of us when typing in our names. So, but we're not answering the phone. And again, just type your questions in, and we will see them. Yeah. I'm looking now, and I got the questions. I got them. We're gonna go through. I can't believe it's already. We've got what almost 15 minutes left. So, talking about hamburger meat today on IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. I'm Victorianne Russell Walton, aka Maryland's Big Diva, along with my man, Wrong Way, Warren Green, who wrote the book, not the book, but wrote the snippets on handling meat, cooking meat, and really the effects of your body. So, this person, here we go. I'm jumping, I'm getting your questions. I eat meat all the time. I eat meat all day long. In the morning with bacon, a noonday sandwich followed by a big juicy steak at dinner. I think if I could eat meat only, that's what I would do. Although I'm bloated, I don't see anything wrong with me. I would like to know how much you weigh. So that's not a question, that's a statement. Warren, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I did too, to be honest, while I was in Spain, I ate meat 3 times a day, and I absolutely agree, and I understand. I'm a meat eater now. I'm not going to try to say I'm a vegan or nothing. I eat meat now. I'm only trying to provide you with enough information to make a decision. I understand. I try to mitigate it. If I'm going to eat meat, I'm going to make sure I get enough fiber to drag it through my body quick. I try to go for the most wholesome play. I think organic meat is the best source. I eat a lot of fish. I don't eat a lot of red meat anymore. I don't trust it anymore. Prior to maybe 10 years ago, we used to manufacture a lot of meat here, and now we made a law called the country of origin labeling for meat, so that we at least know where the meat came from. They actually rescinded that law. There's no requirement for them to tell you where the meat even came from.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat meat all day long, I understand, but understand the consequences. Because vegans don't get arthritis, vegans don't get cancer, vegans don't get any of that stuff.
Right. So with you saying that the origins of our food, we know that there's a food shortage in the United States. I mean, it's just common sense. There's a food shortage. So you kind of see it trickling down the pipeway. And this is my question. Warren, what happens when we run out?
Well, I don't know. And I don't even know whether we would be the people what happened is now the United States in the last 4 years became an importer of food.
Right.
As opposed to an exporter. When I was an inspector, we supplied the way. In fact, they were talking about using food as a weapon. Mm-hmm. That's right around the time when they had the oil cartels. They were talking about having a food cartel, which I agreed with, because that is a weapon. However, they decided not to do that. And now we kind of, and if you look at the chronology of this thing, they 1 out of every 7 farmers was an African American farmer. 1 out of 7 after World War I. Now you got 1 in like 1,000. So now we're not even growing our own food, and most of the stuff is imported now. So and there's no checks on it. We don't know from whence it came.
We don't.
No.
So Warren, I'm seeing in the United States, which is shocking to me, other animals that we would never consider eating slowly being allowed into our food industry.
Like what?
I've seen, I don't know how true it was, but I saw human feet.
What?
A human foot.
In your food?
No, being sold at some of the international grocery stores.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I've seen a dried snake.
Well, snake, we consume alligators here down around in Mississippi and Louisiana. They certainly consume alligators, rabbits. Most foods are they do they exotic meats they do consume here.
Right. But I've never seen them sold in the grocery store.
Well, everything is marketing. Everything is marketing. So, I mean, if there's a demand, we work on the basis of supply and demand.
Right.
If you demanded something,
we eat deer, but
if your grocer thought he could make a profit, he's going to sell anything that he's allowed to sell.
So my concern is, and I think about it often, the food shortage that we already have. What happens when the food shortage is so overwhelming? Are they going to limit our I know we saw this last year during the pandemic. You know, you can only have 2 oranges, you can only have 2 apples, you can only have, you know, 1 can of this and 1 can of that. Are we going to get back to that at the end of this year, you think?
I'm very concerned about the whole thing. I don't understand the policy when we have a workman shortage and we don't allow new other people in the country. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. That doesn't seem to fit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. We have to the whole world is contaminated. Who's going to be able to get the food? It's probably going to be the people who can afford it.
Right.
I don't know how African American culture is going to survive. I think it's really a problem for us, for our culture. I personally believe.
Wow. And it's because we're not growing and we don't know how to grow.
We don't grow anymore. We're not concerned with growing no more. We want to depend upon other people to feed us. I don't know that that's a good sustainable position.
Wow. Okay. You know, I try not to, you know, you're not supposed to be anxious for anything. And I know God will always supply, give us what we need. But sometimes I think, you know, the Father is tired of his children. And I think we're about to get a spanking. I do. I think we're about to all get on punishment. I think God is tired of us. You see these things happening. I mean, I'm watching people on TV, you know, fry and cook the cicadas, and it's like you didn't even clean them. You just
Well, insects are protein, like anything is protein.
I
I
know,
mean, we're
but can you clean
protein.
them?
So we eat the animals that eat them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not whatever they
Somebody's
get their nutrients from the soil and from the trees and the cicadas,
uh-huh.
period. If birds eat them and we eat the bird, what's the difference?
Well,
In fact,
I
they are a food source.
wow. But shouldn't we clean the cicadas?
Clean it how?
I don't know. Gut it, clean it, something.
I
Shouldn't
mean,
we?
our
We're just gonna
fish.
eat the birds.
I mean, we eat birds. We, we. It's not a.
Yeah.
Yeah, an insect is an insect. Not many of us are going to eat an insect. I have always said that I would prefer to eat a parasite than consume arsenic.
I'll just stick to wheatgrass. I'm done. I
See,
can't.
arsenic they give to poultry to kill parasites.
Wow.
I would prefer to eat a parasite than consume arsenic. But
Right.
you know what?
I don't want to eat any of that. So I'm
But you
sorry.
do because
Okay.
you don't know. They don't have to tell you.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of that in our foods that we don't know about,
That's
unfortunately.
exactly right.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, there's stuff that we'll never know that goes on with a lot of these plants because the recalls and all of these things, it's just amazing.
Well,
It's just amazing.
recalls are all voluntary. There's no mandatory recalls from the government. If,
Right.
if, if they so the company that manufactures it, the government can stop them from manufacturing and shipping, but
Wow.
they can't force them to recall.
Okay. That's mandatory, and I get that. So I just, oh man, we're down to our last 10 minutes. So I know I told you guys you're gonna hear some commercials in the background. We have some children over here, and I'm really happy that they're here. We're going to do some fun things in a minute, but right now they're doing a commercial, and I don't need to hear them, but you do. It's summertime, right? So, and with that being said, Warren, what is the like? I know we talked about hamburgers, we talked about chicken. Today's topic was hamburgers. What do you think about them eating the hot dogs? Hamburgers go along with hot dogs. So, what is your thinking with that?
Well, hot dogs, even even worse.
Yeah.
Now we have sodium, we have chemicals in there, and it seems like the American consumer doesn't really like the smoked sausage or cooked sausage that's naturally cured, as opposed to the ones with sodium nitrite and sodium phosphate and everything else and the curing materials.
Mhm.
Now, years ago, they used to they there was a substance called saltpeter. I don't know what
I
everybody, they
remember
used to put it
saltpeter.
in prisons. So
Yeah.
actually, that's sodium nitrate.
Mhm.
Saltpeter, sodium nitrate, and they
Mhm.
used that to reduce your. They gave it to prisoners and sailors to reduce their sex drive.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
now it's in the Frankfurter. So I suggest that if you're going to go out on a date, you might not want to eat a Frankfurter.
Everything has a problem. Everything. Everything. That's just too funny. Cause and effect.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So, we didn't get to all the questions as usual, but if you have questions, please send them in. We will definitely answer them. I can't believe an hour goes by so fast. So Warren, it's 1:52. So I'm just gonna let you talk to the people and tell them what you want to tell them about hamburger meat.
Well, I would start taking a serious look at some of this plant-based stuff. I really have high hopes for that until they can resolve this.
Yeah.
But plant-based means that we have people growing. In fact, we can grow them locally, and they can design it so that it will taste like the animal.
Yeah.
These food scientists can make it taste like anything.
Yeah.
I was very surprised and impressed when I started trying some of these things and tasting them. And some, I don't know if it's enough to fool, but I'm a meat inspector, so I've done it my whole life. But I suppose if you've never eaten a hamburger and you ate one of them things, you wouldn't know the difference.
Wow. I agree with you. I when right after my chemo, I asked my husband to give me store-bought meat and to give me the Amish market meat. And believe it or not, the store-bought meat made me sick. And the Amish market meat I did great with. And I was like, I don't know about the Amish market meat, but the more I got into it with the flavoring of the meat, the sausages, my body felt better, and I
Oh
felt,
yeah,
matter of fact,
they tend more to be organic, and so they're not going to have all of the and maybe next time we'll talk about organic, and maybe we can talk about the difference between organic and non-organic, and why, and certified organic, and why you should start considering organic.
mhm,
Period. I was saying during the pandemic that if you have an option, do organic. Okay. It's a little more costly, of course, and I'll tell you why it's more costly. However, and I'll tell you why you might want to do it,
okay,
because there's a lot of things that are allowed into the food chain
right,
where the government has thrown up its hands and said, well, okay, we'll just make a separate category of food, call it certified organic, where these toxic substances won't be allowed. So
wow,
now, what if we have a whole category where it's not allowed? We
hmm,
know that in the one where it is allowed, it's going to be on the market.
right. Well, I have a lot of questions, but I want to get to this one. They want to know, Warren, what are your go-to seasonings and herbs?
I'm not a big food person.
Okay.
I mean, pepper. I use a little sea salt. I use ground pepper, a little sea salt, and so as minimally seasoned as possible, so
Okay.
that at least my food is consistent. I
Right.
don't expect to get comfort from my food. All my food for is fuel.
Okay.
If that's understood. My food is fuel as far as I'm concerned. That's all it is. It's nothing. I don't have to get any joy or comfort or like. I know the nutrients that I need, and that's what I consume.
Okay.
And I'm
Well,
81.
that's Warren is 81 and your girl is 55, soon to be 56. I think we look great. I know I feel great. I know that I have hiccups in life, and that's just a part of life. We all will. And as
Ebbs and
long as you
flows.
go, you're going to always have something going on. So make the best out of it. I can't believe we have 4 minutes left. So I hope you learned something about hamburger meat. I hope we answered your questions. We didn't get to all of them, but we got to most of them. For those of you who are calling and texting me, no, no, no. You can't text me on my phone. We'd love for you to connect to the show. IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. Victorianne Russell Walton, aka Maryland's Big Diva, along with my man Warren Green. And again, we've got 2 pop-ups we're planning, one for Virginia Beach and one for the Washington, D.C. area. Atlanta, Georgia, I will add you to the list once we're confirmed, but it's going to be a mini health fair. We're going to have fun. We're going to have vendors, but mostly we want to educate you about a healthier lifestyle and also getting your girls checked, because cancer is not waiting for you to address it. It is coming and attacking you while you're waiting. So you can try to ignore it or any health disparities that you have, but the longer you wait, sometimes the worse it will be. So go to your doctor, get your checkups, get the children checked out, keep your dentist appointments, go outside. It's a beautiful day. Walk around for 30 minutes, get your exercise in. Very important. You still have to live. This pandemic is almost over. Something else was right around the corner, and after that one, something else will be right around the corner. So get your mind and your priorities together. Set your mind to live. Set your mind to be healthy and whole, and set your mind to be happy. Only you can make you happy. Only you can make you stop smoking. Only you can make yourself get up off that couch and put down whatever unhealthy item you have in front of you down. Anything in moderation is not bad, but to put a piece of cake, an entire cake in front of you and to eat the cake is not healthy and is not whole. Take the kids outside, let them run around after butterflies and wear themselves out, and then you do the same. I went roller skating last week at my niece's birthday party. Warren, when I tell you your girl roar herself out because David can't skate. So I had to go, every time he went around, I had to go around. I think I went around that roller rink 800 times. That's what it felt like. But I know when I got home, I felt good. I was tired, but the exercise felt great. So I don't know what Warren. Well, Warren is living his best life. Warren and Miss Garla are living their best life. So they're down on the beach having the time of their lives, and I love it. We should all be so blessed to live in the situation that they have, which is being happy, enjoying each other, and looking at the sunrise over some water. It doesn't get any better than that. So Warren should never complain.
Well, I could probably have a million complaints, but I've been around for a long time, way before World War II, so I kind of understand everything that happened. That I think I got a little knowledge about things. I failed to mention that there's a difference between ground beef and hamburger, and maybe the next time we'll talk about it. But no, let me. I may because the next time there's another subject.
Yeah,
Ground
go
beef.
ahead and go for it, Warren. We can
Ground
flesh
beef
this
is
out.
the meat from one animal.
Right.
Hamburger could be from multiple animals. In fact, they can even add fat to hamburger to get it up to 30%. They're not allowed more than 30% fat. But ground beef, they can't do that. It has to be from the same animal.
And when it says lean, what is that, Warren?
Well, that means that it has less fat.
Okay.
Now, so I look in the supermarket and there's chuck and everything else. I think that's a misnomer. You unless you go to a kosher market, you're never going to get chuck. It's always
Yeah.
going to be trimmings from all over the animal.
Okay.
And the animal, in the Hebrew dietary thing, they don't eat the back of of a cow.
No.
But
No.
so therefore, that's where you're going to be able to get chuck and everything else. But in the regular food market, you're never going to get chuck. It's just not
Oh,
going to be. And there's no way for you to tell after it's ground. So, but it's not going to be chuck. So what they really mean is this has less fat than others or more lean, 18%, 20%, so forth and so on. Hamburger can have up to 30, and they can add fat to ground beef to get it up to 30, and then it's hamburger. And beef patties is another ballgame because beef patties only have to be 3% meat. It could be 97% of anything else.
what?
Yeah, beef patties.
Wait, hold it. Say that again, Warren.
A beef patty only had the standard of composition for a beef patty only has to be 3% meat. It
How
could
is
be
that
anything else.
possible? How is that?
Huh?
It says beef patty. So how is that possible?
Yeah, but it's a patty, so it's a non-specific. It's not. It doesn't have a standard of identity. It's non-specific. So it's
Yeah.
3%. That's the standard of it. The USDA operates on the standard of identity for a product. A beef patty. That's why it's so non-specifics are foodstuffs that don't meet a standard of identity. A beef patty never did. When McDonald's came out with all beef patties, that was strange to me because an all beef patty doesn't have to be beef. It could be 3% beef and so forth and so on.
As long as it has a little beef in it, they can say
3%. 3%
Oh my
means
God.
that it has to be inspected by the USDA. Anything less than that doesn't even have to be inspected.
Oh, I did not know that.
So when you go to the store, you'll see some things packaged as beef patties. Look at the ingredient statement. See, it'll probably have a lot of soy, isolated soy protein, and soy, and so, but a meat kind of stuff here. And that's how some of these alternative meats and these plant-based meat companies came about, like Morningstar. They were also they made a beef patty that wasn't beef, but it wasn't expected to be beef. That was the nature of the company.
Wow, that is mind blowing.
So
Now
make
you're gonna have me
sure
check
you
everything I'm
must
buying.
read the ingredient statement. Read the ingredient statement and then read the nutrition facts on anything that you buy.
Wow. I always do, but when I see 100% beef, I'm
Then
assuming
it's
it's
what
beef.
then it can't be a patty. Then if they call it a patty, that's okay. I don't know why they would. But if it's 100% beef, it's 100% beef. But if
Right.
you look on some of these beef patties, just look around and you go to these less expensive stores and look and see what the ingredients are, you'll see that there's not a lot of meat in there. There's a lot of soy in there. Now, my grandkids used to say, well, gee, they were going to Catholic school and they were getting this, and they said, the food is okay, but I used to get a lot of flatulence. Well, I'll call it flatulence, but
Mm-hmm.
they say, well, we used to fart a lot. Of course you would, because your body doesn't digest
Yeah, it doesn't.
soy that well, and it's notorious for flatulence.
Wow.
Soy.
Woo. Okay, everybody. I hope you took your notes. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. Today's topic was about hamburgers. And Warren just blew my mind again with some things I did not know. So, Warren Green, thank you so much for all of your words of wisdom and your expertise when it comes to this food, because we have no idea what we're eating and we never will. So we went over
You
a little
don't.
bit, but it was certainly worth it. So, Warren, again, thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Garla. And thank you, husband and Dave, for
She's
allowing me
down
to.
to the pool party already.
I bet you she is, and we're not going to hold you up anymore. Enjoy your day. This is IITG Seasoned Sisters Speak. I'm your host, Victorianne Russell Walton, aka Maryland's Big Diva, along with my man Warren Green, who's running to the pool party. Enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, read those ingredients so you know what you're not only that what you're eating, but what you're giving to your family. Be whole, be happy, be healthy, be kind. Maryland Big Diva out. Bye, Warren. Thank
Bye.
you. Wow, that is